Justice had questions here as to what was going on relating to tariffs and if the executive has this power. What did you glean from arguments today?
What I gleaned from argument today is that everything basically boils down to who can win the argument on what an emergency is, because the fundamental issue here is there an emergency? And if there's an emergency, the greater the emergency, the more the president and the White House can justify the use of these tariffs as a legitimate use of power under the IEEPA, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which is from 1977.
And the way that this court is divided, and given what we've seen in the past in their rulings, it seemed as though some of the justices that may be more amicable to the president in the past had serious questions here if, in fact, he had the authority.
Yes. So, again, the president is using his tariffs under this emergency economic act. And so he declared an economic emergency, but that was based on a trade imbalance. So I think that's where a lot of the skepticism was coming from is, look, you have a trade imbalance and you have on the other side clear, constitutional mandate of separation of powers and where, the president can't do what Congress should do. And under Article 1, Section 8, Congress is technically in charge of tariffs. They can delegate it unless it becomes too major under the Major Questions Doctrine. In other words, if something is going to majorly affect the United States, then he needs to lean more into Congress. So there really are no clear answers here, and that's why this was in court to kind of figure everything out. But I think that's fundamentally what was going on is they're skeptical of the use of the trade imbalance as a justification under a economic threat.
And this really, if you look at it holistically, could be huge because if they were to rule against the president here, then the country would essentially have to give back the $195 billion that it's already collected in tariffs.
Yes. This Supreme Court has been more deferential to the White House. We've seen that regarding all of the issues regarding ICE and the National Guard troops being deployed. And there is some kind of legal precedent for the Supreme Court to give deference to the White House, to the executive branch regarding tariffs and regarding emergencies. So there is precedent for the court to say, listen, because there are emergencies involved here, we're going to give deference to the executive branch, to the president. However, again, we're down to is an economic imbalance an emergency?
Yeah. So what happens next? What are we watching? Are there dates to watch here? When could they say one way or another?
I would expect, and this is me guessing, it could go either way. I would expect the Supreme Court to issue a decision sooner rather than later because this is so fundamental, as you said. To reverse course on this, I think, would be disastrous for the country. So I think because we need to know these answers as soon as possible, I think the court will accommodate us.
All right, we'll see what happens. It should be here pretty quickly considering their docket. Good to see you, Joseph. We appreciate it.
Good to see you, Marina.
All right, let's move on. Just one day after the election, we're already looking ahead to 2026 and the U.S.